Hi, my name is Terry Green Clark. Welcome to Demystifying College Admissions video series, Part 3, Financial Aid. What I hope to do with this video is to provide you with an overview of the financial aid process, to introduce you to the major components of the financial aid process, to give you some guidance and resources so that you can initiate the financial aid process for your teens. When I started the college process with my own children 6 years ago, I really had no understanding of what the costs were associated with the college education. So in order to educate you, I thought I would give you a perspective of what those costs are. A total cost of a Massachusetts State University currently is at about $28,784. This includes tuitions and fees and room and board. That is for 1 year. The average cost for a private university, and this is an average across the country, is approximately $55,000. The average total cost for a community college for 1 year in the state of Massachusetts is approximately $6,000. It's important to keep in mind that the majority of those costs are associated with fees. It equates to about 65%. If you're looking to find the total costs for any public or private institution anywhere in the country, there's a great website called College Navigator that can give you a perspective of what the costs associated with that college are. I thought I would also pass along just some statistics so that we all know where we're getting into with the costs of college. Statistics show in 2013 that 69% of graduating seniors at public and private non-profit colleges had student loans totaling just over $28,000. According to the Federal Reserve, student debt equates to $1 trillion. It's up 47% over the past 4 years. I know that you feel that are overwhelmed at this moment in time, and these statistics are very, very startling. Indeed, that's why there's been so much talk in the public eye about the costs associated with college. So the question remains, where do we go from here? Where do we go as we look at financial aid for a college education? Financial aid. There are 4 different forms of financial aid. There is federal financial aid available, state financial aid, individual colleges offer financial aid, and finally there are nonprofit and private entities that offer aid in the form of scholarships. The sources and types of financial aid. Again, there are 4 different sources and types of financial aid. The first one being grant. Grants are financial aid that does not typically have to be repaid. Loans is borrowed money for colleges, costs that must be repaid with interest. Work study is money that's earned from a work program that helps a student defray the costs of college. Scholarships are awards that do not have to be repaid and are often based on merit or need or an association with a particular group. So, how is financial aid calculated? Financial aid need equals cost of attendance less expected family contribution. So the cost of attendance for any university would be tuition, fees, books, and room and board if your student was to live away from home. The expected family contribution is calculated based on parents' and students' income and financial assets. It's important to remember here that the expected family contribution calculation varies by institution. So your expected family contribution may be different at the federal level, state level, and the individual college level. So these are the options that we have. So how do we apply for financial aid? There are 2 major financial aid forms. The first one is called the FAFSA, which is a form that is required by federal and many states, including Massachusetts. And the second one is called the CSS Profile, which is required by many private colleges, some public universities, and some scholarships. The CSS profile is not required by Massachusetts state colleges. The FAFSA itself. The FAFSA is 8 pages long. It's submitted electronically. There are 7 steps in the FAFSA application. The following steps are specifically geared towards the student. Step 1 includes information, name, social security number, citizenship, education, etc. Step 2, they're looking for the student's income and any financial assets. Step 3 determines whether or not the student is considered an independent person from their parents. Step 5 is only required if the student is deemed independent from their parents. Step 6 for students requires them to list the colleges that they would like to receive the FAFSA information. For parents specifically, there is step 4, which requires income and financial information. The last step, step 7, is required of both the parents and the students, which requires a signature on both parts. So I thought you would like to take a look at the FAFSA forms, so I put a couple of sheets up here for you to see. This is step 1, which is specifically for the students, which is really looking for their overall information of location, citizenship, social security number, etc. These next 2 pages are step 4, which is the parents' financial information. So if you would like to review or print a copy of the 2016-2017 FAFSA, just go to my website and you can click on that and be able to access that information. How do students apply for the FAFSA? A student must create and activate an FSA ID. In order to do that, it actually takes a couple of days. FAFSA requires social security numbers, and they do cross-reference it with the Social Security Administration, so it will take a couple of days before they verify each student's social security number. It's important to note that a parent's income used for the FAFSA is based upon a single year, but it is 2 years prior to the school year. For example, if you have a senior in high school now who will be going to school in the fall of 2017, the FAFSA information or the parent income information that needs to be used is based on the year 2015. So it's 2 years prior to the start of the school year. FAFSA applications are updated yearly, and they are available for review as early as July 1st. The FAFSA itself can be submitted as early as October 1st. The FAFSA is free to file. It doesn't cost you anything to file it. And it must be submitted to each college that the student will apply to. That's important to remember. Students must apply to a college and get accepted before that they will receive a financial aid package. Universities will not send out financial aid packages based upon your income unless the student is accepted. If you would like to estimate what your federal financial aid is going to be, you can Google FAFSA forecaster, or you can go to the website right here. Additionally, you can find this information on my own website, terrygreenclark.com. So the second application that we would like to look at is the CSS profile. Again, this is an application that is required for many private universities, and it's a little more lengthy than the FAFSA. So let's take a look at that. The CSS profile is used for financial aid for many schools and also for some college scholarships. Over 250 colleges across the country require this additional application. If you'd like to find out what colleges require it, you can go to this website here. And again, this information is on my own website. This application, as I mentioned, is a little more lengthy. It's approximately 20 pages, and it does change from year to year. It does require more financial aid information than the FAFSA, but it will tell you when you're filing the application what information is needed to be provided. The income data required is also based on a single year's income 2 years prior to the start of the school year. So again, it is the same financial information required as FAFSA, which is good. They will notify you if additional tax information or financial documents are required. There is a $25 application fee for the first school that is sent to, and then it is reduced to $16 per college that the application is sent to for subsequent applications. There are fee waivers available. Applications can be filed again as early as October 1st. Deadlines for this CSS profile vary by college, so if your student knows what colleges they would like to apply to, they need to check the deadlines to ensure that their application is in on time. The expected family contribution is calculated differently by individual universities, so even though you're submitting the CSS profile to multiple universities, each one has its own criteria for evaluating financial aid. So it's important to remember that you may get different financial aid packages from different universities based upon the programs that they have in place. Unfortunately, there is no printable worksheet available for the CSS profile without having your student go on and register. So if you're students and you would like to look at the CSS profile, they will have to create an account on the College Board in order to register to see what the application offers. I've touched on an overview of the FAFSA and the CSS profile. Obviously, this is a lot more daunting and detailed than I can go into in this specific short time frame, but I hope this gives you just an overview of the process, and now that you know what is required, you'll be more in tune and knowledgeable about how to proceed from here. What I'd really like to do now is, now that you have the nuts and bolts of the process, what I'd like to do is to provide you with some food for thought based upon the insight I've gathered with my own 3 children, but also with numerous nieces and nephews and family friends that have gone off to college in the last 6 years, and give you some things that we wished we had known, and also some factors to consider when your teen's looking at the college process and financial aid. Everyone should fill out the FAFSA and CSS profile online as soon as possible and save it. Sometimes it takes a lot longer to gather the information you might need in order to process these applications, so I would do it early. Additionally, even though some of you may think that you may not qualify for some loans or financial aid, you might be surprised that you could get some low interest loans from the federal or state government as a part of this process. Next, submit your student's FAFSA and or CSS profile as soon as your teens decide what colleges they will apply to. The primary reason for doing this is because funding for financial aid is not unlimited. If you put off funding for financial aid, the likelihood to get the best package diminishes. Financial aid packages only come out after students apply and are accepted to a college. So if you submit your financial aid applications, but your student has not applied, do not expect to get an estimated financial aid package from the school. They need to be accepted. To apply to a broader range of schools to compare financial aid packages, as I mentioned earlier, the expected family contribution is calculated differently at the state, federal, and university level. Based on what the goals and objectives and what the endowments are available at each university, by applying to a broader range of school, you may be able to get a better financial aid offer from one versus another because they're looking for diversity or they're looking for different goals or objectives for that year. Geography, again, can impact a financial aid officer. Any university I've ever gone to has often bragged about the fact that they have students from X number of countries and X number of states. So many schools are looking for diversity. So if you're a Massachusetts student and you're applying outside of the New England states, the likelihood that they are looking to attract more students from the Northeast is higher, so the potential exists that you could get a better financial aid offer. Attend financial aid seminars on any college visits and view the financial aid webinars offered at colleges. This is a great opportunity to just see what the colleges are offering. Tuition reciprocity at state universities. Tuition reciprocity is when a state university, does not offer a specific field of study and they have an agreement with another state university that does offer that field of study. What they do is allow students to go to that state university at in-state tuition prices. So, for example, if you were looking to study a certain subject matter that Massachusetts state universities didn't offer, but a Vermont state university did offer, you might be allowed to go to that school at Massachusetts state rates. So to find out all of the state rates and what programs are offered at colleges where there are agreements, you would go to NAFSA.org at the website I identified here. In addition to that, there are federal grants for students who are seeking teaching degrees or whose parents or themselves might have served in the military. If your student's looking to be a teacher, there are federal teach grants that have a program that students get so much in grants, and then they in turn offer service after they graduate. There are other grants for Iraq and Afghanistan service grants for parents who've served in that military section. Those are, for more information on those particular grants, you should go to the studentaid.ed.gov website. You should just find out more about Parent Plus loans before you take out a private loan to pay for any teen's education. Parent Plus loans are filed separately, and in order to find out whether or not you even qualified for it, you would need to explore the specifics on it, and then you would again go to the government website. Oftentimes these loans are offered at a much lower interest rate than you would find at a private loan. You should identify what portion of the financial aid package is in the form of loans. When financial aid packages do come out, a percentage of those programs being offered to you are in the form of loans, so recognize that your students will have to pay those back, and when you're evaluating the differences between packages from schools, look to see which part of that portion is in the form of loans. We should recognize that the freshman year financial aid packages are often the best offer that is made throughout college. The exception to that rule would typically be if your financial situation changed, but if it would be a good rule of thumb to look at your freshman year as an offer that potentially will not necessarily increase unless your financial situation changes. To use the government website, collegescorecard.ed.gov, is important to discuss with your teens the financial implications of college debt. Having this conversation with them prior to them going off to college, recognizing what they're going to have to take out in loans and what that means to them is important. This website is a government website that gives you a lot of information specifically on what the average loans are taken out at a specific university, etc. There's a lot of information to be found there. To estimate how much money your students will need to earn after they graduate from these schools in order to pay back these loans. That's the next step you take when you look at what the estimates are from a college scorecard or from your own financial aid packages. I think putting it in dollars and cents of what they will need to earn when they graduate gives them a better perspective to analyze the offers that come to them. To try to pay off the interest on any loans while they are still in college, this would be helpful because of the fact by paying the interest when it starts, it'll make their total sum of loans much smaller when they graduate. So I know this has been a lot of information for you all to digest, but we all recognize that this investment in college is one of the biggest financial investments your teens are going to make. So given the fact that this is the case, what I'd like you to do is consider some questions when talking to your teens about college, because I would like you both to find the colleges that are the best fit, both academically and financially. Are your teens committed to earning a degree? Are they thinking that, if this doesn't work out, I'll just drop out? Or are they really committed to going all 4 years or even 2 years to graduate and get their degree? Do your teens know what percentage of the students graduate from their top choices in the university? I think this is an important factor for students and parents to look at, and the college scorecard website does provide this information. Are their top choices within the realm of the national averages, or are they far below that? Really important fact to consider when you're looking at a college. Do your teens understand the financial implications of their loans if they do not earn their certificate or degree? This means, do they recognize that even if they don't earn a certificate or a degree, that they will have to still pay their loans? Do your teens understand their employment options if they do not earn their certificate or degree? Do they understand what will happen to them if they decide to stop going to school? And what will be their options for employment after that point? Do your teens have a plan B if college does not work out for them? Do they understand what the ramifications of not completing their degree or certificate program? From personal experience, I know that as a first semester freshman, I wanted to leave school because I did not like it at all. And a good friend was able to ask me and talk to me about it. And he asked me what I was going to do if I didn't continue school. And you know what? I didn't have an answer. And the thought for me of not having an answer and not having a plan B was scarier than staying in school. So I decided to make from that point on that I was going, instead of fighting this, I was going to embrace it and move on from there. And so as they say, the rest is history. The last point I would like to make with you is exploring the options of community college. Given the fact that the financial situation and costs of college are really high at this point in time, community college has become a great option for many students to start at. But one of the things we need to recognize is that not all community colleges are equal. Your teens, if they are looking at this choice, which can be a great option, need to understand what they're getting into and the dynamics of each different community college. We need to help educate them into what's going to happen for them in their experience in a community college. Do your teens know who their peers will be? Do they know what percentage of the student body is full-time? What percentage of the student body is part-time? What they are going to choose to do? Will they go full-time or part-time? Do your teens know that a mediocre performance at a community college could impact their future enrollment at another university? Most community colleges expect equal or better grades than high school performance levels. Do your teens know that if they apply to another community college or university, after taking classes, they're considered a transfer student and not a freshman? This status can have implications on their application offers. Does the community college have any agreements with the four-year university to pursue a bachelor's degree, which would be a 4-year program? Some community colleges do. So in order to make sure you understand what you're getting into, your teens should check out the community college website to see if there are any affiliations. Does the community college have any agreements or history with any businesses or organizations for future employment? Again, this would be a great opportunity for them to find out what their options are after they get their degree from the community college. They should check out their website for that. So that concludes our Part 3 series of Demystifying College Admissions Financial Aid. For those of you who have college athletes, look for Part 4, Athletics in College. I hope this has been helpful to you, and I hope that if that you all remember that a college education is going to be the biggest financial investment your teens are going to make. Help them understand their financial responsibilities and options before they go. And if you have any other questions or information about this presentation, you can look on my website, Demystifying College Admissions, at terrygreenclark.com.